Hello everybody and welcome back to Take It, Hold It, Mod It. For this episode we're actually going to change up our character a little bit and go with Operator Oni, who mostly has modern firearms or stuff from 1980 and onward. We're also going to swap back to spawn lock for this episode, but every other setting is going to stay just about the same. Oh, cool. You know, this is actually the first day in a really long time that Scotland hasn't been absolutely roasting. Seriously, it's been so hot over the past few weeks or so. It's made recording this really difficult. I guess not necessarily difficult, but more like I am absolutely pouring in sweat after it's done. I also completely forgot we're running spawn locked, so give me that, and boom. Finally, back to spawn locked. I'm not sure what I'll do for the next episode. Maybe we'll do spawn locked, maybe we won't do spawn locked, who knows. Might go back to limited ammo, because I was having quite a lot of fun with limited ammo. Much more fun than I thought I was going to have initially. You know, and I said it in one of the other episodes, but I wasn't really the biggest fan of limited ammo back when I tried it. When it first came out. But I'm kind of warmed up to it a little bit. I think a lot of the systematic changes when it comes to, like, how you get mags. Oh. You know, how mags get filled. It's just a lot more bearable, a lot more palatable for me. I'm also going to add in an extra shell there. I like having this middle ground between reloading shells. You know, some people kind of like they always load one by one, or they just load up their slot with as many shells as they can carry, and then they just like hold it there as the rounds go in. But I'm the type of person who I like kind of interacting more and more with the guns to a certain extent. Ah, that was a terrible pump. It looked awful. What's the point of pumping a shotgun if you aren't going to do it for style? Oh, I missed. I also got to remember to grab the shotgun far back at its pump, because having a virtual stock makes pumping a lot of shotguns really difficult if you are pretty short-armed.
Interfacing with system node.
And yeah, if you don't know, you can actually change the direction or change the position of your hand on a shotgun's pump. So you're not necessarily limited to a certain angle or a certain distance. For example, me usually grabbing quite far down the pump usually ends up in a lot smoother racking, as compared to when I have my hand really way up, where I kind of have a harder time racking. I kind of have to jerk it a lot more to get it to work. Unfortunately, that's actually hard to keep track of in the moment. You know, once you're done reloading, it's hard to remember to grab the pump really far down. Where's this last one? Oh, there's actually more than 3. Boom. Oh, there's 5? Damn. I'm so used to playing unlimited ammo recently that having that many encryptions is a sight for sore eyes.
3 override tokens found.
Oh.
Advance to next system node and take.
I don't think that's also not how you use the term a sight for sore eyes. But
check this out.
oh god. Do I even have another round available? No, I do not.
What's that?
Whew. I haven't played H3 in a few days, compared to the last episode. It's taken me a little while to play it. Again, because I said, like, Scotland has been absolutely fuming. It is horrible. It is such a pain in the butt cheeks to record VR in such a humid, hot environment. It's not even, like, just hot. It's also just so humid. It's so wet. It's like a wet hot, and it's really, really not fun. And I know a couple other people. I was talking to Mr. King last night, actually, and this will actually date this episode's recording for him. But I was talking to Mr. King last night, and he said that, you know, I wanted to record VR as well, but yeah, the heat recently, absolute heat wave there's been in the, I think he said he was in Texas, Yeah, the absolute heat wave that there's been is incredible. I thought it was mostly just the UK and Scotland and Europe and stuff that was getting this massive heat wave, but no, apparently you're also getting it in America as well. I'm also futzing about. I was not looking at my my radar. But yeah, what an insane heat wave all of a sudden. Even right now, I'm starting to sweat, and it is horrible. I'm probably going to take a shower after this recording is done. Because, God, I need it, to be honest. Hello? I love it when they do that voice line. Oh, that's happened so many times where they've done that voice line as soon as I shoot them. And it's actually kind of funny. I love the so sick voice lines. I actually wish there were more voice lines. I hope they eventually do get a couple dozen more down the line. Also, I do like this pistol. It's the Glock. Which version? The Gen 3 G19? Is this the one that can also go full auto? This is the one that doesn't even have any safety. Well, that's fine. I do like the Glock. The Glock is actually kind of... a lot of people are like, oh, it's a shit stick pistol. It's the Minecraft pistol. It's horrible. But, you know, I actually kind of like it. It's got this kind of aesthetic to it, which... yeah, it's kind of a polymer piece of crap. But I do like it. It's got, like, this just nice look to it, which... very clean. Very recognizable, you know. Also, very bad in my hands, apparently. Oh.
No hard feelings. Don't smell burnt toast.
Whew. I actually can fire a lot faster than that. I can't really with the index controllers because the index... if you don't know how the index controllers actually strap to you, you have to pull a cord to strap them to you so you can actually hold them hands-free. You can't see my fingers, obviously, but my fingers are fully stretched out, completely out of the controller. I'm not even holding onto it anymore. That's actually one of my favorite parts about the index controller, to be honest. And I keep mentioning it, I think, or I mention it a lot. I really like that you have to actually grip things with the index controller. Oh, what a collat.
Hardened encryption detected.
Whew. But yeah, most controllers, most VR controllers anyway, they usually require you have a button to grab things. Like the, you know, on the HTC Vive, you have to click in the trigger to grab things. And you can still do that with this. You can still grab stuff with the trigger just fine. There's no restriction to that. You also want to start full autoing. If you do so, you know, you have to actually reset the trigger before you can start firing, which is a nice thing with the index. I remember when the index was actually coming out, I was actually talking to Anton about the control scheme, and I was saying, you know, I was giving him actually heads up, you know, like, hey, the index, you know, sensitivity with grabbing and all that, make sure you fine tune it. Or I'll actually, like, kind of, I wouldn't say give pointers, because it's not like I'm an expert, but I think he was also asking me about it as well. I'm also saying this as if I was giving him a tutor, which, no, it wasn't true. He knew way more about the index than I did, but when he actually did start to implement index controllers support, I gave him feedback, like, you know, hey, maybe the grip is a bit too sensitive, maybe the grip is a bit too lax, and, you know, a lot of the times I like to outstretch my fingers while I'm holding onto a gun. So, for example, right now I have most of my fingers not even on the gun. Only one finger is actually still touching the gun, which is my middle finger. You know, sometimes I like to kind of air out my fingers, give them a little bit of a stretch while I'm holding guns. So I would actually really like it if, you know, for example, I could continue to hold onto the gun while only one finger is actually wrapped around the index. And, you know, he was like, oh, I could probably get that working, and lo and behold, he did. So, it's really nice, really convenient. I think, honestly, out of any game,
I always get the
out of any VR game, I think that HD by far has the best support for index. Like, quite easily. There's not really much of a competition, to be honest. most VR games nowadays, they, I think HD has struck a really great balance between making the controls a bit too strict, a bit too, relaxed, and, it's really nice now. I think, like, it's fine-tuned to such a lovely degree where it just feels so natural. And I don't know, it's probably just because I've played it for so long at this point. You know, I've played under this control scheme for a whole, like, year and a half, whole 2 years almost. So, I am pretty well versed in it, you know, I'm pretty biased. But I do think that HD by far has got the best control scheme for the Index. And it's a shame that a lot of developers making VR games, they don't really, they do support Index controllers, which is nice. It's always nice. And you kind of have to, honestly, at this point. If you don't support Index controllers, that's kind of weird. But, a lot of the times they don't fine-tune it a lot. They kind of just go like, oh, well, if you're gripping, you're gripping. If you're not gripping, if you're not gripping. There's a game that came out recently that can be played in VR called Forewarned. It's kind of like a Phasmophobia-like game where you go into a tomb and you find, or you're being hunted by a ghost, and you got to figure out what the ghost is. Just a basic information on the game, in case you're interested. It's kind of cool. Unfortunately, the spread there was actually ruining my shots. What a shame. Oh! I do be out of ammo, though. Oh! Should we bring out the Caparis? Maybe. We maybe should be bringing out the Caparis. Okay. There we go. Shooting shield toast is pretty hard a lot of the time, especially with this frame rate. But, you know, it can be made a lot easier if, you know, I would say if you're struggling to shoot shield SOSIGs, one of the things I recommend the most is to actually shoot their feet instead. Because generally speaking, their feet lag behind the rest of their body. I know System Hack will fail. I think we have to focus on the encryptions. Oh, this is such a choppy frame rate, man. Let's see. Last one is there. Whew. Well, that took a lot of effort.
Advancing to next system layer.
But yeah, if you're struggling with shield SOSIGs, I actually recommend shooting for their feet instead. Then you can immobilize them, you can incapacitate them, and then finish them off. It's a super good strategy most of the time. I am getting shots on there. That's the annoying part about shotguns, is I am actually, oh god. My shots were reaching them, but unfortunately the spread was just not working in my favor. It wasn't hitting any particularly fleshy part. I think there's a really good chance we're gonna die here, so... Let's see. I mean, if I take one shot, I'm dead, so... we're not gonna be able to hit that. Try and use the road as cover. Hopefully that'll work. Maybe, you never know. Okay. We have a second to work. I can't believe it. We actually did it. Whew.
Advancing to next system layer.
So by the way, if you're actually interested in taking hold, there's something I should give you, or something I should tell you, is Mr. King, because I was talking with him last night, is holding a tournament later this month. Specifically a take and hold tournament. So if you're interested in that, you could go and have a look at Mr. King. I'll put a link to his Twitch in the comment section. His Twitch channel. You can also find him in like the first to worst Discord. Oh. I know the first to worst tournament was really popular. So, and Mr. King himself should be advertising the tournament very shortly, and the prize you get for it is a whole bunch of Steam games. And, you get a bunch of codes. So if you're interested in playing Taken Hold competitively, you can go and have a look at Mr. King's tournament. It should be a lot of fun. I'm not sure if I'll compete. Probably not, because I've never really been the score junkie type of player. I'm the guy who just likes to make cool shots, and I like to play like kind of fast and loose. I'm not really the optimizer type. And we can just run it again. I knew we were gonna die there because we were at such a low HP. Taking one shot was kind of inevitable, especially since we had another extra round. And that hold there, specifically that one, I think is probably the hardest hold in this map. I know we haven't talked about the map a whole lot, even though it's kind of the star. It is the star of the show, the star of the season.
Take it.
Oh, wow. I haven't had this before. Interesting. The MRAD. Interesting. Oh, there was even a health so secure I completely ignored in the last one. Surely it gave me a sight. It did give me a sight. Very weird one. We're going with Titanfall, apparently. Some sort of sci-fi futuristic angle. But yeah, if you're interested in Taken Hold competitive, if you want to play Taken Hold competitively, you want to search for or get a high score as possible, Mr. King is doing a tournament. And I wasn't really involved in the first to worst tournament at all. I wasn't really interested all that much, but I kind of, I kind of am. I'm always interested in Taken Hold competitive in general. Just that specific tournament I wasn't involved in. I didn't compete in. For no particular reason, Just, again, I've never really been the type to search for score. I don't really like that type of optimizing. I find very, very uninteresting for me personally.
What's going on over here? Crunchy.
But for those it is interesting in, it's a lot of fun. Oh! Gun was glitching out. This gun, is this official? I know I asked that last time. By the way, in one of the last episodes, we got the small mini Mosin. Ah, I'm fucking up. I haven't used this before, so I'm not really used to where its bolt is. Usually I'm pretty good at in. Is that a SOSIG? No, that's just a sign. A sign that looked like a SOSIG.
What's over there?
Over here is your death because you explode when I touch that. I did actually used to run, I don't need to talk about this again. I already talked about it earlier in one of the earlier episodes, so I was going to talk about Taken Hold competitive again. Which we don't need to. I've already gone over it. I mostly kind of reiterate and talk about Taken Hold competitive because it was so fun. It was such a fun time. Oh! I'm always shooting a little bit low with this. Or a little bit right, so. I need to stop thinking and just aim. No brain, all aim. Whew. I do like this gun. This is a really nice gun. Really nice to use.
Advance to next.
And when I stop thinking and just start aiming, as you can see, it goes a hell of a lot better than for me. You know, just recently, Sony revealed the new Spider-Man game. You know, they did it during their State of Play conference that happened a few days ago at this point. But, man, I am so excited for Spider-Man 2 made by Insomniac. I love Insomniac. I've always loved Insomniac, all the games they've done. I really like Sunset Overdrive. It was kind of a not very well received darling, in my opinion. It was a great game. Kind of weird humor. Really kind of meshed with the time. You know, I tried playing it again when it came out on PC last year, and boy, that thing kind of feels like it aged a lot in such a short amount of time, like just a few years, and it feels like the humor is quite grating now. Maybe my humor changed over time, maybe it's still just as funny as it was before. Maybe it just doesn't hit me at the right time anymore, you know? Maybe when it came out was the correct time for that game. But I still think it's a great game, you know? I really loved it back then, and it came out the same year as Alien Isolation, and I know that for a fact because Alien Isolation was probably my game of the year, and it still kind of is. I think it was game of the year 2016 for me. And then when I played Sunset Overdrive, I was like, oh man, this thing competes. This thing is a competitor for me. Ooh. Oh, he died. Yeah, I really liked Sunset Overdrive when it came out. I played so much of it. But, yeah, in general, I really love Insomniac games. Most of the games they put out, I've been such a massive fan of, you know. I really like the Ratchet & Clank remake. I know that's not to everyone's taste. Some people are like, oh god, they stripped down the game. Oh, it's not as good as the original. And yeah, in a lot of ways, it obviously isn't. Definitely content-wise, from what I saw, the Ratchet & Clank remake was for sure worse than the original, but that also kind of half understandable. It's an unfortunate reality that games nowadays have kind of gone down this spiral of presentation over content. You know, back then you couldn't really make super duper like intense graphics, so for the most part you could work on just fleshing out the content, adding a lot more levels, adding a lot more worlds, a lot more missions, stuff like that. But nowadays people are like half the development is spent on like the graphics, so the content usually isn't always always there. And it's such a shame because people expect such massive amounts of like graphical fidelity nowadays that developers are kind of stuck. You know, a good example of that would be Halo Infinite's reveal, for example. When Halo Infinite got revealed, people were like, oh god, this game looks garbage. This game looks visually shit. This game looks like visual doo-doo. And, luckily 343 did end up actually drastically, if you haven't checked again, 343 did end up drastically improving the visual quality of Halo Infinite. It got like substantially better. But I also think that was just part of the pipeline anyway. From what I'm told, or from what I saw in game development, the same thing happened with Halo 5 as well, where it looked considerably worse in pre-release material. I don't know why I'm panicked. I'm not actually panicking that much. I was just kind of stressed. Whenever you hear the voice line of like, System Mac is on the verge of failure, you're like, oh my god, I gotta go. But, and that's because the old timer was so strict, or so much more strict back then. So, Anton increased the time you have to do encryptions in one of the most recent updates. I guess actually not most recent updates, in one of the recent updates. Ooh, I think it was when North Dakota got released. Or, sorry, Northeast Dakota. Anton didn't literally release an entire state. Let's go. Ooh. This is actually semi-auto, right? You can't make it full auto. It is a civilian AR, which is unfortunate. Yep. Civilian AR. I would actually, wouldn't mind getting another one. See if we can... Oh. Come on, go to me. Oh, also, I can't wait for that filtering system Anton has. If you don't know, Anton has actually been working on a filtering system, which takes your inputs and adds a little bit of smoothing to them. Nothing gigantic, nothing massive, nothing that will... Hopefully nothing that will completely obliterate your aiming potential. I know Anton is very particular about that anyway, so he obviously he'll fine-tune it. He fine-tunes everything into like a really nicely grinded paste. That's one of the best things about Anton, in my opinion, is that like H3 is just like a love letter for him. He stated this in the Discord at some point, and it's such a great sentiment. It's such a great statement he made, where he said that H3 is, for him, it's not really a game. It's just his safe place, the area that he created for him to chill in, the area that he, you know, just likes to hang out in, and, like, has everything he wants, guns and like fully simulate firearms, and that's why H3 is so experimental as well, is because generally speaking he just jumps from project to project and is like, oh, I want to add this to this game, oh, I want to add this, and because H3 is his safe space, is the area he really likes to just chill in, he uses it as just grounds for like, hey, I want to do this, you know, hey, I want to add this, and it's why H3 has never really ended up as like a roadmapped complete product per se, or like in the traditional sense, where you know, it's got a roadmap, it's got content, it's got a story mode, and it gets out, and it comes eventually. You know, Anton just does whatever he wants and leaves it at that, and just adds content over time, keeps going. Obviously, H3 right now, I would say, definitely has enough content to be warranted as a full game. I've said this for like, to me, H3 has been completed for the past 2 years. It's such a content-dense game, and I'm so happy it keeps getting more and more content. You like more guns, more modes, more ways to play, more new unique things, the new movement methods, the new like tools and stuff like that. It's so fun to just have this game get constantly updated with more and more stuff. You know, it's the whole reason I bought VR in the first place, is just to experience this game per se. And people get really like excuse me. I got confused because I was getting shot at the same time. That's why I made those weird noises. And what was I even going to say? I was going to talk about more about how H3 is. Oh, people get really strung up on the actual term. Oh, modded weapon. I think this is the first modded weapon we've gotten. It's a modded in Tavor, a tar. I don't know how good it is. I just kind of saw it on the mods page, and I was like, you know, that looks pretty cool. It's great. It's working. We'll go with this instead. I'll actually take this out even and put it on this. God, I really love the Tavor, and I'm so sad that it hasn't gone into the game yet, officially, because the tar is just so nice. I know Anton said that he actually really liked, there's a few guns Anton said that he really, really loved and that he really wanted to get into the game, but he just couldn't for, you know, one reason or another. And I thought that one of them was the tar, from what I heard, at least from what I remember. When he went and fired a whole bunch of guns at Battlefield Vegas, one of the guns he fired was the MTAR, the one from Call of Duty Ghosts that's like this, but it has a mag ejector. Oh, this one still has a mag ejector. Basically, it has a mag ejector over here, or over here where you press it there. And one of the problems he had, from what I remember, I could be paraphrasing, I could be wrong, and that it was the trigger. He didn't like that it had some sort of really weird kind of strict trigger, or it was a dual stage trigger, something along those lines. But aside from that, he said that otherwise the gun was like incredible.
System node. Hold this position.
One gun I do know he tried, which he really wants to get into the game, he said was like a darling, was the MPX. And it's really unfortunate because the MPX unfortunately just has not been added yet. And it's such a shame. And the reason behind that, I think, again, most of this stuff is like just hearsay because based on stuff I remember he said in the Discord or in videos. But one of the other things he said was he really wanted to get an MTAR in, but he couldn't because he just didn't have a suitable model. The model he had for the not the MTAR, the MPX. The model he had originally for the MPX when it was supposed to be implemented like literally 2 or 3 years ago, ended up being not up to snuff. He ended up saying that it was too unpolished, too kind of wanky. No, not wanky, wonky. It was too wonky, not up to par with the rest of the models in the game. I'm also hitting stuff around my room. So he unfortunately couldn't actually add it, or use that model specifically. And he was gonna have to get one commissioned from a artist, and I'm surprised he hasn't done it yet. Maybe he probably just had other priorities. You know, one thing I actually really kind of wish I could turn on in better hands, and this is like just a feature request basically. I wish that whatever button I set the, what's it called, to the palming to, I wish that I could press that and I would automatically get a palmed mag, or, you know, a palmed round, whatever I put in. It does work like that for, it does work like that if you have the base controls, the standard controls, where the palming is actually bound to the trigger, where you can, if you press the trigger, you automatically get a pound mag like this. But if you just grab it, like say with the index with your grip, you get just a normal unpalmed mag. But I found that control scheme to be a bit too not up my alley. I didn't really like it that much because I'm so used to grabbing things with the trigger. You know, as someone who came from a HTC Vive, I'm way too used to grabbing things with the trigger. So it's kind of a bad habit, or not really a bad habit, but just, you know, a hardware habit that I ended up taking with me all the way into the the Valve Index. God, this heat is making me stutter. This heat is making me lose my brain cells. Where was that? Who was shooting me? Did our shot ricochet? We are loaded, right? We are chambered, yes. Ah, that one really hurt. I am excited for the motion smoothing, though. I am really excited for that. I'm mostly hoping it's maybe an option, because if it ends up being a bit too overtuned, I would like to turn it off, but I'm assuming that might become an option. Anton usually likes to make those types of things options, so I would assume it's coming. Because, I mean, you can kind of see where, or you can kind of see right now, I'm already, I would say, pretty damn good at aiming in H3. Without tooting my own horn. I can shoot just fine. I don't really need motion smoothing to get cleaner shots. Except for maybe like using a sniper rifle, you know? Like this. I would say a sniper rifle is probably the only time I would really like motion smoothing. But even then, I'm generally pretty good. And that's also, again, mostly just come from practice. many years of just going into the shooting ranges and firing a whole bunch and stuff like that. Oh, I should have had the other gun to sell it. Man, it is really interesting getting the Tavor in here. Feels so weird to have a Tavor in H3, but you know, again, modded, sadly as it is. But this is a pretty good version. The lighting in this map sometimes kerfucks, and I don't think it does this as much justice as it should. So we might have to, or I might look on a different map afterwards, just to see if this, like, how, like, the actual proper quality of this model, because as far as I can see, it is really good. And functionally, it's as I'd expect, you know? Nothing funky going on. Maybe, if anything, the magwell's a bit generous. But that's more than fine. I don't mind a generous magwell. I will gladly take a generous magwell.
I'll just be over here now.
Okay, cool. Let's actually get some different rounds. Let's see if we can get some API or something. I think we got armor penetration. Where's that white tips? Ooh, did we get API on the Barrett? Probably. I mean, that's what it looks like. Can't tell due to the lighting up. If you're not aware, by the way, very recently, Module AK and Module AR finally made it to the Thunderstore mod section for H3. Because for the longest time, the problem was, like, Thunderstore had a limit to what, like, the size of the things you could upload, and Module AK and Module AR was too big for Thunderstore. So they upped their limits, just for H3-ish, you know, those mods, and just ended up now working. So Module AK and Module AR are finally on the Thunderstore if you were waiting to get into mods for them. I know a lot of people were really hammering. Ooh, we're really hammering and yammering to get Module AR and Module AK. And for the longest time, they haven't been readily available due to the Thunderstore data limit problem. But now they're on there, so if you're interested in HDVR modded, playing it modded now, you have a bit of a reason to, hopefully. Honestly, I think Better Hands alone is enough to play HDVR modded. It is such a convenient, nice mod. Excuse me, I had to cough there, so if you see a cut, you know, that's why. Oh, I'm seeing SO6. Where are you? Are you coming around this corner? Oh, you're going up the ladder. I see. I really like the recursive. Is that the recursive encryptions? Is that what those are called? I really like them. They're kind of interesting. I know Anton's adding a whole bunch of other encryptions at some point soon. Yeah, so if you don't know, Anton is adding a dozen more encryptions. From what I remember, he said he wanted to add, eventually, something like 11 or 12 different encryptions. And I think there's currently about 6 in the game. 6 for us to play with and shoot and get destroyed by. I know a lot of people have trouble with the regenerative encryption. That's the one people have the most trouble with, mostly because it isn't very well communicated what you have to do with it. I think personally that's always been a problem with the regenerative encryption, is that it's not really communicated what you have to do to beat that thing. And if you don't already know what to do, or you didn't watch the devlog, or you didn't see someone else do it, or someone else didn't give you instructions, or tell you, etc., then you might have a pretty hard time figuring out what it is you're actually supposed to do against that one. And I know saying all that without actually explaining how they work is a bit weird, so I'll actually explain how the regenerative encryptions do work. Basically, with the regenerative encryption, it's the big red one that has all the kind of lines coming out of it. All the other small... It's like a sea urchin. It looks like a bunch of sea urchins, basically. Red sea urchins. What you do is you actually have to shoot the center of the sea urchin, the big one, to slow down its regenerative... What the hell? Oh. Oh. You have to shoot the big one to slow down its regenerative powers. So the more you shoot the big one, the slower it regens.
Chew on this.
Which gives you more than enough time to actually shoot the other sea urchins. But, you know, it's kind of like a balancing act between shooting the big one and shooting the small ones. Where even is this other? There it is. Generally what I do when I see a a regenerative encryption is I, you know, shoot the big one, shoot a small one, shoot the big one, shoot a small one, shoot the big one, shoot a small one. You know? In fact, this actually may be... This actually maybe not actually. There's another one right there. And there. This might be Swarm. I'm assuming this is going to be Swarm. Either that or Recursive. Oh, maybe Agile. Maybe. It was a lot easier to tell what the encryptions were by the quantity of them before. Especially when they were first introduced. It was so easy to tell when you were getting a swarm encryption versus a hardened or a single node encryption. I've always said it for the longest time. I really wanted H3 to have, or Taken Hold to have, some sort of thing you do in the middle, something you do in the hold that isn't just being in the hold. It's Agile. With Agile, I tend to wait a second. Although I have heard that people can actually do the Agile encryptions within like a second. And I think that's insane. Imagine being able to hit this fast thing. It doesn't look that fast now, but when they first start out, they are speedy as hell. Yeah, can you imagine being able to hit that fast zipping thing in like a single second? All of them? Man, that's insane. Let me check the time. Yeah, this has been going on for 40 minutes or so. I think I'll probably call it here-ish. Actually, yeah. So we'll actually end the episode here. We got a modded weapon. Unfortunately, we didn't really get too much more than that. We got a few other weapons. Not really a weapon-heavy run today. But for the first time, we did get a modded weapon, which is interesting to say the least. Obviously, the likelihood of getting a modded weapon was pretty low, considering it actually has like 500 guns, and I only installed a couple. So, I installed an F2000 mod, I installed some Halo stuff, just to check it out, in the off chance that we do get it. And obviously the Divorce. So yeah, there was a very small chance of getting it, and I'm glad we finally did get one. Just to show that the statement I made at the very beginning in the first episode where we had modded guns wasn't a fluke. So, I'm glad that we actually did get one. But yeah, I think we will call it there for now, and we will end this run suitably. Alright, well, 27 minutes plus the 15 minutes from the other run, and I would say that's pretty successful. We only completed 4 holds, but, you know, we did what we did in about 15 minutes, and I really hope you're enjoying the series. I hope my commentary is good enough. Recently I felt like my commentary hasn't been that good, hasn't been that interesting, and I'm hoping it is at least interesting to listen to, at least interesting to watch. And I felt that my commentary was stronger in the 12 Days of Meatmas, so if you feel I'm a bit boring in this one, well, I guess the 12 Days of Meatmas, I would recommend that instead. Because, yeah, the heat wave and, like, the etc., everything going on, I had to do so much. I've just been kind of fried when making this series. Maybe I should have picked a better time to do it, but, you know, hindsight is 2020. You know, maybe we'll see during the second season if my commentary gets better, but I hope it is good enough anyway. Anyway, thanks for watching. I hope you enjoy the series. There is going to be another episode tomorrow again, and we're nearing the end. This is the 5th episode, I'm pretty sure, and we're going to get the 6th and the 7th, and then that series will be done, and we'll be doing another map next time. We'll talk about the end a bit later, what I'm going to do next, but I will see you later. Thanks for watching. I hope you have a wonderful day, and I will see you later. Bye-bye.